Kim Tae-ho woke up at exactly 6 in the morning, just like he had done every day for the past 8 years. The alarm clock was not needed anymore. His body knew when to wake up. He rolled out of his narrow bed and walked to the small window that looked out at the gray surface of the moon. The earth hung in the black sky like a blue marble. Tae-ho used to look at it and feel homesick. Now he just felt empty. He had no desire to go back to that world. Too many bad memories lived there. He put on his work clothes and walked through the empty halls of Lunar Base 7. The station was built for 200 people, but only he lived here now. His footsteps echoed in the silence. Sometimes he talked, to himself just to hear a human voice. "Good morning, Base 7, he said to the walls. "Another beautiful day in paradise." The base had been a mining station before the war. Workers came here to dig for rare metals under the moon's surface. When the dragons attacked Earth's colonies 8 years ago, everyone left. Everyone except Tae-ho. He volunteered to stay and watch the station. Earth Command was happy to have someone keep an eye on their farthest outpost. Tae-ho walked to the control room and checked the computers. Green lights everywhere. All systems working fine. He had become very good at fixing things over the years. When you live alone, you learn to do everything yourself. He made coffee and sat down at his desk. Through the big window, he could see the communication dish pointing toward deep space. His job was to listen for signals from enemy ships. If dragons came toward Earth, he would warn everyone. So far, the space around Earth had been quiet. The war officially ended 3 years ago. Both sides were too tired to keep fighting, but Tae-ho knew the peace was fragile. Dragons and humans still hated each other. Small fights happened all the time in distant parts of the galaxy. Tae-ho opened his daily reports, supply ship schedules, weather data from Earth, messages from his commander. He deleted most of them without reading. Earth Command sent him orders sometimes, but he ignored them. They wanted him to come back to Earth for meetings or medical checks. He always said, "No, I'm fine here," he would tell them. "The base needs someone to watch it." This was partly true, but the real reason was simpler. Tae-ho did not want to be around people anymore. People asked questions. They wanted to know about the accident. They looked at him with pity in their eyes. Here on the moon, nobody bothered him. He spent the morning working on the hydroponics lab. The plants gave him fresh food and clean air. Tomatoes, lettuce, potatoes. He grew everything he needed. The work kept his hands busy and his mind quiet. After lunch, he went to the workshop. This was his favorite place in the whole station. Here, he built things. Over the years, he had made many improvements to the base. Better weapons, stronger shields, faster computers. Earth Command did not know about most of these changes. They thought he was just maintaining the old equipment. But Tae-ho had turned Lunar Base 7 into something special. If enemies came, they would find more than just an old mining station. They would find a fortress. He was working on a new sensor array when the communication system beeped. Someone was trying to call the base. Tae-ho looked at the caller ID and frowned. It was Commander Park Min-ho from Earth Defense Force. Tae-ho thought about ignoring the call. He did not like talking to his old colleagues, but Min-ho was persistent. He would keep calling until Tae-ho answered. "Luna Base 7 here," Tae-ho said into the microphone. "Tae-ho, good to hear your voice, old friend." Min-ho's face appeared on the screen. He looked older than Tae-ho remembered. More gray hair, more lines around his eyes. "What do you want, Min-ho? Can't I just call to check on you? We used to be close." "That was before," Tae-ho said. "Before the accident." Min-ho's smile faded. "Tae-ho, you can't blame yourself forever. What happened to your family? To your squadron? It wasn't your fault." "I was the engineer. I designed the shields that failed. My wife and daughter died because of my mistake. The dragons had new weapons. Nobody could have predicted. I don't want to talk about this." Tae-ho reached for the disconnect button. "Wait! I have real news. We're getting reports of strange activity in the outer system. Ships moving in the asteroid belt. We think they might be dragons." Tejo paused. This was the kind of information he needed to know. "What kind of ships?" "Small ones. Not military. Maybe refugees or traders. But we want you to be extra careful. If you see anything unusual, call us immediately." "I'll keep watch," Tejo said and ended the call. He sat back in his chair and rubbed his tired eyes. 8 years of peace, and now maybe dragons were coming back. Part of him hoped they would stay away. But another part, a darker part, almost wanted them to come. At least then he would have something to fight. The rest of the day passed quietly. Tejo checked his weapon systems and ran tests on the shield generators. Everything was ready. If trouble came to Luna Base 7, he would be prepared. That evening, he cooked dinner and ate alone while watching old movies on his tablet. Earth seemed very far away. Sometimes he wondered if he would ever go back. Maybe he would spend the rest of his life on this cold, gray moon. But as he looked out at the stars, Tejo felt something he had not felt in years. A strange sense that change was coming. The universe felt different tonight, like a storm building in the distance. He finished his meal and went to bed early. Tomorrow would probably be just like today, and the day after that. But something deep in his mind whispered that his long years of solitude were about to end. Outside his window, the stars burned cold and bright in the endless night, and somewhere among them, 10 small shapes moved through space, heading toward the moon and the lonely man who waited there. 3 days later, the sun exploded. Not really exploded, but that's what it looked like to Tejo when he woke up to flashing red lights and screaming alarms. The solar monitoring station showed massive flares shooting out from the sun's surface. "Radiation levels were off the charts. Solar storm warning," the computer announced in its calm voice. "All communication systems will be affected. Estimated duration, 2 to 4 weeks. Tejo ran to the control room and watched his screens go dark one by one. The communication dish stopped working. His connection to Earth was gone. Even the local sensors were acting strange. He was truly alone now. The storm made the space around the moon dangerous. Any ship caught outside during a solar flare would be fried. Tejo made sure his shields were at maximum power and settled in to wait. On the second day of the storm, his short-range sensors picked up something. A ship was coming toward the moon, moving fast and out of control. The radiation was making his instruments fuzzy, but he could tell the ship was damaged. Tejo watched the unknown vessel crash into the moon's surface about 5 kilometers from his base. The impact sent up a cloud of dust and rocks. He waited for an explosion, but none came. Whoever was in that ship might still be alive. He put on his spacesuit and took his rover out to investigate. The journey across the lunar surface was bumpy and slow. When he reached the crash site, Tejo stopped and stared. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was organic-looking, with smooth curves and a surface that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Parts of it were clearly damaged, with tears in the hull that showed strange blue light inside. This was a dragon ship. Tejo's heart started beating faster. His hand moved to the weapon on his belt. Dragons were the enemy. He should call for help, but his communication systems were down. He should destroy the ship before the creatures inside could hurt anyone. But as he watched, a section of the ship opened up. Figures began crawling out of the wreckage. They were smaller than he expected. The dragons he had fought during the war were massive, the size of buildings. These looked almost young. One of them saw him and made a sound. It was not the roar he remembered from the war. It sounded more like crying. 10 dragons emerged from the ship. They were hurt and scared. Some had injured wings. Others were bleeding strange blue blood. They huddled together in the cold, looking around at the empty lunar landscape. Tejo raised his weapon, but something stopped him from firing. These dragons were not attacking. They were not even looking at him with hate. They looked terrified. The largest dragon, a female with silver scales, stepped forward. She raised her hands to show she had no weapons. When she spoke, her words came through Taeho's suit translator as broken human language. "Please," she said. "Help! We run! Bad dragons chase us! We no fight you!" Taeho kept his weapon pointed at her. "Why should I believe you? Your people killed my family." The female dragon's eyes went wide. "Your family dead? We sorry. We no kill humans. We run because we no want kill humans." "What do you mean?" Another dragon, a young male with dark blue scales, spoke up. "Our people say kill all humans. We say no, so they chase us. Try to kill us too." Taeho looked at the group of dragons. They were obviously refugees, running from their own kind. The irony was not lost on him. He was a human who had run away from other humans. They were dragons who had run away from other dragons. "We no hurt you," the female said. "Please, our ship broken. We die in cold. The smart thing would be to leave them here, let them freeze. They were still dragons, still the enemy." But as Taeho looked at their frightened faces, he thought about his own years of loneliness. He knew what it felt like to be abandoned and alone. "My base is 5 kilometers away," he said finally. "You can shelter there until the solar storm ends, but you stay in the cargo bay, and if you try anything, we understand," the female said. "Thank you. You save us." The journey back to Luna Base 7 took hours. The dragons had to walk because they were too big for his rover. Taeho drove slowly, watching them in his mirrors. They helped each other across the rough ground. The injured ones were supported by the healthy ones. When they reached the base, Taeho opened the cargo bay doors. The space was large enough for all 10 dragons. He turned on the heat and lights, then sealed them inside. "Food and water dispensers are on the wall," he told them through the intercom. "Medical supplies are in the blue cabinet. Don't touch anything else." "Thank you, human," the female dragon said. "What is your name?" "Kim Taeho." "What about you?" "I am Nari. These are my clutchmates. We are young dragons, not yet full grown. Our parents dead in war. We try to find new home." Taeho went back to his quarters and sat on his bed. He could not believe what he had just done. He had rescued dragons. If Earth Command knew about this, they would court-martial him. Dragons were the enemy. The peace treaty said both sides should stay away from each other. But the solar storm had cut him off from Earth. Nobody would know about his guests unless he told them. And these dragons seemed different from the ones he had fought in the war. They were refugees, like him. That night, Taeho could not sleep. He kept thinking about Nari and her friends in the cargo bay. Were they really peaceful, or was this some kind of trick? Dragons were smart. Maybe they were pretending to be helpless. But when he checked the security cameras, he saw them huddled together for warmth. The injured ones were being cared for by the others. They looked like frightened children, not soldiers. In the morning, Taeho found himself walking to the cargo bay. He stood outside the door for a long time before opening it. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Better," Nari replied. "Your medicine very good. Thank you for helping us. The solar storm will last for weeks. You're stuck here until then." "We understand. We no trouble for you." Taeho looked at the 10 dragons. They were watching him with curious eyes. One of them, a small female with green scales, was examining the wall panels with great interest. "What is she doing?" he asked. "So Young likes machines," Nari explained. "She good with technology. She no break anything, just looking." Despite himself, Taeho felt a small smile cross his face. Maybe having visitors would not be so bad after all. 2 weeks into the solar storm, Taeho's morning routine had completely changed. Instead of eating breakfast alone, he found himself sharing meals with 10 dragons in the cargo bay. It had started by accident when So Young, the young female dragon, who loved machines, had fixed his broken coffee maker. "Your machine's sick," she had told him in her broken human speech. "I make better." Taeho had been suspicious at first. Dragons touching his equipment seemed dangerous. But So Young was gentle and careful. She used her natural bioelectricity to repair circuits that would have taken him hours to fix. When she was done, the coffee maker worked better than new. "How? Did you do that?" Taeho asked. "All dragons have electric inside," So Young explained, holding up her hands. Small sparks danced between her fingers. "We use for many things. Your machines and our electric work good together." That was the beginning. Soon, So Young was helping him repair other broken equipment around the base. Her bioelectricity could power systems and fix problems that normal tools could not handle. She was like having a living battery and repair kit combined. Hyun-woo, the dark blue male dragon, proved useful in different ways. He was strong, much stronger than a human. When the solar storm damaged the outer hull of the base, Hyun-woo helped. Taeho moved heavy repair plates that would have required a crane. His natural fire breath could weld metal better than any torch. "In war, we use fire to destroy," Hyun-woo said as he sealed a crack in the hull. "Now, I use fire to build, feel better." Neri, the silver-scaled leader, spent her time learning about human culture. She watched Taeho's movies and asked endless questions about Earth. In return, she told stories about dragon civilization that fascinated him. "Your people and mine, not so different," she said one evening. "We both love family. We both fight to protect home. War happened because we understand each other. Dragons started the war," Taeho said. "You attacked our colonies first." Nari's eyes grew sad. "Some dragons start war, yes, but not all dragons agree. Many of us say humans are people too, have right to live. But war leaders no listen. They say humans are virus, must be destroyed. And now those same leaders want to destroy you?" "Yes. They say we are traitors, contaminated by human ideas. They hunt us across galaxy." Taeho began to understand why these dragons were different. They were outcasts, just like him. They had refused to follow orders they thought were wrong, and now they were paying the price. The other 7 dragons each had their own personalities and skills. There was Jin-Soo, who could grow plants faster than any human farmer. Min-ji could see radiation and electromagnetic fields with her naked eyes. Dong-hyun had perfect memory and could calculate complex math problems instantly. Working together, humans and dragons could accomplish amazing things. Taeho's engineering knowledge combined with dragon natural abilities created solutions neither species could achieve alone. When the base's main power generator started failing, So Young's electricity kept it running while Taeho designed a replacement using parts from their crashed ship. "We good team," So Young said proudly when the new generator came online. "Yes," Taeho agreed. "We are." But not everything was easy. Cultural differences caused problems. Dragons communicated through telepathy among themselves, which made Taeho feel left out. They had different ideas about privacy and personal space. Some of their food made him sick, and human food gave some of them stomach problems. The biggest challenge was trust. Taeho still had nightmares about the war. Sometimes, he would wake up in a cold sweat, remembering the day his family died. When that happened, he would check the security cameras to make sure the dragons were still in the cargo bay where they belonged. Nari seemed to understand his fear. "You lost family in war," she said during one of their conversations. "We sorry for your pain. Many dragons lost family too. War hurt everyone. My wife and daughter died because I failed them," Taeho confessed. "I designed the shield technology for their ship. The dragons had new weapons that broke through my shields." "You no fail," Nari said firmly. "War make people do terrible things, but you good person. You save us when you could kill us. Your family would be proud. These words meant more to Tae-ho than he wanted to admit. For 8 years, he had blamed himself for the accident. Hearing forgiveness from a dragon, from the very species he had fought against, began to heal something deep inside him. As the weeks passed, the boundaries between human and dragon areas of the base began to blur. Tae-ho found himself spending more time in the cargo bay, teaching the dragons about human technology and learning about their abilities. The dragons began helping with maintenance tasks throughout the base. One day, while working together to repair a damaged antenna, Hyunwoo asked a question that surprised everyone. Why humans so good at making machines work together? Dragons build things too, but not like this. Tae-ho thought about it. Humans are good at cooperation. We're not the strongest or fastest species, so we learn to work as teams. We build tools and systems that help us survive. Dragons strong alone, Nari added. We no need to cooperate much, but working with you show us new ways. Human ideas make dragon abilities better, and dragon abilities make human ideas possible, Tae-ho realized. We complement each other. It was a revelation that would prove more important than any of them could imagine. Unknown to them, the solar storm was beginning to weaken. Soon their communication systems would come back online. And when that happened, both human and dragon authorities would learn about the unusual cooperation happening at Luna Base 7. The peaceful weeks of learning and working together were about to end. But the bonds formed during this time would be tested in ways none of them expected. On the last night before the storm cleared, Tae-ho sat with all 10 dragons in the cargo bay. They were sharing stories and enjoying a meal of mixed human and dragon foods. For the first time in 8 years, Tae-ho felt like he belonged somewhere. What happened when storm ended? So Young asked. Tae-ho looked around at his unexpected friends. I don't know, he said honestly. But whatever happens, I'm glad you came here. We glad too, Nari said. You show us humans not all bad. Maybe someday all humans and dragons can be friends. Outside, the solar storm was dying down. Soon the HFY Universe would intrude on their small sanctuary. But for now, they had each other, and that was enough. The solar storm ended on a Tuesday morning. Tae-ho woke up to green lights on his communication panel for the first time in 3 weeks. His connection to Earth was back online. Within minutes, his console was flooded with messages. Earth Command. Wanted status reports. Supply schedules needed updating. There were dozens of routine communications that had been queued up during the storm. But one message made Tae-ho's blood run cold. It was from Commander Park Min-ho, marked as urgent and classified. Tae-ho, respond immediately. We have confirmation of dragon activity in your sector. A refugee ship was tracked heading toward the moon before the solar storm hit. We're sending ships to investigate. Do not engage any dragons you encounter. Wait for backup. Tae-ho stared at the message. They knew. Somehow, Earth Command had tracked Nari's ship to the moon. He quickly checked the timestamp. The message was 3 days old. That meant human ships were probably already on their way. He ran to the cargo bay where the dragons were eating breakfast. They looked up when he burst through the door, sensing his panic. We have a problem, Tae-ho said. Earth Command knows. You're here. They're sending ships. Nari stood up quickly. We go now. No want trouble for you. Where will you go? Your ship is destroyed. We find way. Always find way. Before Tae-ho could respond, his long-range sensors started beeping. Ships were approaching the moon. Multiple contacts coming in fast. He ran back to the control room with the dragons following. The sensor display showed 6 ships approaching. Luna Base 7. 3 were Human Earth Defense Force vessels. But the other 3 made Tae-ho's heart sink. They were dragon warships, much larger than the refugee vessel that had crashed weeks ago. Why are human and dragon ships traveling together? He asked. Nari looked at the display and her face went pale. Purifiers, she whispered. Extremists from both sides. They work together now to hunt refugees like us. That's impossible. Humans and dragons are enemies. Not anymore, Hyunwoo said grimly. Some humans and some dragons decide they hate peace. They want war to continue forever. They kill anyone who wants cooperation. The communication system crackled to life. A human voice filled the room. Luna. Base 7. This is Commander Park Min-ho of the EDF Vengeance. We know you have dragon refugees in your facility. Surrender them immediately, and you will not be harmed. Tae-ho grabbed the microphone. Min-ho, what are you doing? Why are you traveling with dragon ships? The dragons have offered to help us eliminate the refugee problem. These creatures are traitors to their own species and a threat to the peace treaty. Turn them over now. A new voice came through the communication system. This one was deeper, with the strange harmonics of dragon speech translated into human words. Human Tae-ho, I am Kazak the Purifier. The young ones you shelter are infected with human sympathies. They must be cleansed. Give them to us and you will be spared. Nari stepped forward. That is my clutch brother, she said quietly. He leads the dragon extremists. He killed our parents for refusing to join his crusade. Tae-ho felt anger building in his chest. Your own brother wants to kill you? He say I not real dragon anymore. That human contact made me weak. The communication system buzzed again. Tae-ho, you have 5 minutes to open your doors and release the refugees, Min-ho said. After that, we will take them by force. Tae-ho looked around the control room. 10 frightened dragons looked back at him. They had spent weeks working together, learning from each other, building something new. Now extremists from both species wanted to destroy what they had created. There's another option, Tae-ho said slowly. What option? Nari asked. We fight. The dragons stared at him in shock. You fight your own people for us? So Young asked. These aren't my people, Tae-ho said firmly. My people don't work with extremists to hunt refugees, and you're not. Just dragons anymore. You're my friends. He turned to his control panel and began activating systems he had built over his years of solitude. Hidden weapon arrays emerged from concealed positions around the base. Shield generators that he had upgraded far beyond their original specifications hummed to life. This base isn't just a mining station anymore, Tae-ho explained as he worked. I've spent 8 years turning it into a fortress, but I can't operate everything alone. What you need us to do? Hyunwoo asked. So Young, I need you to power the main weapons array with your bioelectricity. It will hit harder than anything they expect. Hyunwoo, the shield generators need constant heating to operate at maximum efficiency. Your fire can keep them running. What about rest of us? Nari asked. I've been studying your abilities for weeks. Each of you has skills that can enhance human technology in ways no one has ever tried. Jinsu, your plant-growing ability can repair hull breaches by growing biometal patches. Minji, your radiation sight can help me target their engines perfectly. The dragons looked at each other with growing excitement. You want us to fight like team, Nari said. Human technology and dragon abilities together. Exactly. They think they're hunting helpless refugees. But we're going to show them what happens when humans and dragons actually work together. The communication system crackled one more time. Time's up, Tae-ho. You've made your choice. Through the windows, they could see the 6 ships taking positions around the base. Energy weapons began charging. Landing shuttles prepared to launch. Are you ready? Tae-ho asked his unlikely team. Ready, they said together. Tae-ho smiled for the first time since the ships arrived. Then let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget. He pressed a button and Luna Base 7 transformed. Hidden panels slid open to reveal weapons that no mining station should have. Shield generators created barriers of energy around the base, and inside the control room, a human and 10 dragons prepared to fight together against enemies who believed such cooperation was impossible. Attention Purifier Fleet, Tae-ho broadcast on all frequencies. This is Luna Base 7. You want our refugees? Come and take them. The battle for the future of human-dragon relations was about to begin. But for the first time in his life, Taeho was not fighting alone. He had a team, a family, and a cause worth defending. The extremists thought they were about to destroy a symbol of dangerous cooperation. Instead, they were about to help create a legend that would inspire both species for generations to come. The first attack came from the human ships. Energy beams lanced out from the EDF vessels, targeting what looked like weak points in Lunar Base 7's structure. But Taeho had spent years preparing for this moment. "Shields up," he called out. Hyun-woo breathed a steady stream of fire onto the shield generators, superheating them beyond their normal operating temperature. The result was a barrier of energy so intense it made the attacking beams look like flashlights against the sun. "Impossible," came Min-ho's voice over the communication system. "No mining station should have shields that strong." "Surprise," Taeho muttered as he worked his controls. "So young, power up the main cannon." The young dragon placed her hands on the weapon's power coupling. Bioelectricity flowed from her body into the gun system, charging it to levels the original designers never imagined. When Taeho fired, the beam punched through the EDF Vengeance's shields like they were made of paper. "Warning shot," Taeho broadcast. "The next one takes out your engines." The dragon ships moved to attack positions. These were warships, much more dangerous than the human vessels. Their bioweapons could adapt to different types of defense, but they had never faced defenses like these. "Minji, I need targeting data on the lead dragon ship," Taeho said. The dragon with radiation sight studied the enemy vessel. "Engine core is here," she said, pointing to a specific spot on the display. "But they have bio-armor that changes." "Shoot here instead. Their weapon control center." Taeho aimed and fired. The shot hit exactly where Minji had indicated. The dragon ship's weapons went offline instantly. "How did they know our weak point?" came Kazak's angry voice. "Because dragons are helping them target you," Nari broadcast back. "We know all your secrets, brother." "Traitor, you have forgotten what it means to be dragon." "No," Nari replied. "I have learned what it means to be more than dragon." The battle intensified. Landing shuttles launched from both human and dragon ships trying to reach the base's surface. But Jinsu was ready for them. Using his plant-growing ability, he created a forest of metallic vines that erupted from the lunar soil. The biometal plants wrapped around the shuttles, crushing their engines and forcing emergency landings. "Your plants are attacking our ships," one of the shuttle pilots screamed over the radio. "Welcome to Lunar Base 7, Taeho replied, "where the rocks fight back." Dong-hyun, the dragon with perfect memory, had memorized every detail of human and dragon ship designs. He guided Taeho's targeting systems to hit precise points that would disable rather than destroy. The goal was not to kill their attackers, but to show them something they had never seen before. "Look at them fight together," So-young said in wonder as she maintained power to the weapons. Human mind and dragon strength working as one. The attackers began to realize they were facing something unprecedented. Every human tactical advantage was enhanced by dragon abilities. Every dragon natural skill was amplified by human technology. The defenders of Lunar Base 7 fought like a single organism with 11 minds. "Fall back!" Min-ho ordered his ships. "Regroup and reassess." But Kazak was not ready to retreat. "Send in the assault troopers," he commanded. "I want those traitors brought to me alive." Heavy dragon warriors began dropping from the orbiting ships. These were not refugees, but trained soldiers, each one the size of a small building. Their natural armor could stop most human weapons. Their claws could tear through steel. "This is bad," Hyun-woo said. "Assault troopers very dangerous." "Then we'll just have to be more dangerous," Taeho replied. He activated his final surprise, a system he had never tested but had always hoped he would never need. Hidden tunnels throughout the base opened up, releasing a swarm of maintenance, robots that he had modified over the years. But these were not ordinary robots anymore. Each one had been enhanced with biotechnology that the dragons had taught him during their weeks together. Some had So Young's bioelectricity running through their circuits. Others had samples of Hyun Woo's fire-producing chemicals. A few even had fragments of dragon-scale armor grafted onto their frames. The result was an army of hybrid human-dragon machines that confused and terrified the assault troopers. How do you fight a robot that breathes fire and shoots lightning? How do you destroy a machine that can repair itself with living metal? "What are those things?" one of the troopers screamed as a robot-dragon hybrid chased him across the lunar surface. "The future," Tae-ho said quietly. The battle raged for hours. Every time the attackers thought they had found a weakness, the defenders adapted. Human engineering, guided by dragon intuition, created new solutions faster than the enemy could counter them. Finally, as the lunar day turned to night, the attacking ships began to withdraw. They had lost too many shuttles, taken too much damage. The refugees they had come to capture were fighting like veterans, and the human who was helping them seemed to have unlimited tricks up his sleeve. "This is not over," Kazakh broadcast as his ships retreated. "We will return with more ships, more weapons." "We'll be waiting," Tae-ho replied. But Nari stepped forward and spoke into the microphone. "Brother, listen to me. You see what we can do when we work together. Humans and dragons are stronger as allies than as enemies. Join us instead of fighting us." "Never. You are no longer my sister. You are an abomination." "Then you are no longer my brother," Nari said sadly. "But the offer will always remain open." The enemy ships disappeared into deep space, leaving Lunar Base 7 battered but victorious. Tae-ho and his dragon friends looked around at the damage. The base would need repairs, but they had survived. More importantly, they had proven something that would change the galaxy forever. Humans and dragons could not just coexist, they could thrive together, becoming something greater than either species alone. "What happens now?" So Young asked. Tae-ho looked up at the stars where more ships were approaching. But these were different ships, flying both human and dragon flags. Word of the battle was already spreading across the galaxy. "Now," he said, "we show everyone else what we've learned." The real work was just beginning. But Lunar Base 7 had become more than a mining station or a fortress. It had become a symbol of what was possible when two species chose cooperation over conflict. And in the days to come, that symbol would light the way to a new future for both humans and dragons. 2 days after the battle, Admiral Lee Sang-min arrived at Lunar Base 7 with the largest fleet the Earth Defense Force had ever assembled. 50 ships hung in space around the moon, their weapons pointed at the small mining station where a human and 10 dragons had just defeated a joint extremist force. Tae-ho stood in his control room, watching the massive fleet through his windows. Nari and the other dragons waited beside him, nervous but determined. They had sent messages explaining what had happened, but they had no idea how Earth Command would respond. "Lunar Base 7, this is Admiral Lee. Prepare to be boarded for inspection and debriefing." "Understood, Admiral," Tae-ho replied. "But I should warn you, my guests might make some of your people nervous. We've read your reports, Engineer Kim. What you've accomplished here is unprecedented." 3 shuttles landed outside the base. Admiral Lee emerged from the first one, followed by a team of officers and scientists. From the second shuttle came dragon diplomats, including an ancient female dragon named Elder Sun-hee. The third shuttle carried news reporters from across the galaxy. When the delegation entered the control room, they stopped in amazement. Humans and dragons were working side by side at the control panels. So Young was showing a human technician how to enhance power systems with bioelectricity. Hyun Woo was demonstrating precision welding techniques to an Earth engineer. "Remarkable," Elder Sun-hee said in perfect human speech. "I have lived for 3,000 years, and I have never seen such cooperation." Admiral Lee walked up to Tae-ho. Engineer Kim, I've seen the battle recordings. Your tactical innovations were brilliant. But what I want to know is how you managed to work so effectively with them. He gestured toward the dragons, still uncertain how to refer to Earth's former enemies. They're not them anymore, Admiral, Taeho said. They're my team, my friends. We've learned that humans and dragons don't just add our strengths together. We multiply them. To demonstrate, Taeho called over Minji, the dragon who could see radiation. Show them the engine core analysis you did yesterday. Minji projected a holographic display of the base's power system. Human technology very clever, she explained to the amazed observers. But dragons can see energy flows that humans cannot. When we combine human engineering with dragon senses, we find new ways to make machines work better. Elder Sun He nodded thoughtfully. And when we combine dragon intuition with human analytical thinking, we solve problems neither species could handle alone. Over the following weeks, Lunar Base 7 became the most important location in the galaxy. Scientists, diplomats, and military leaders from both species came to study what had happened there. They watched in amazement as human-dragon teams accomplished tasks that should have been impossible. Jinsu and a human botanist developed new crops that could grow in any environment. So Young and human engineers created power systems that were twice as efficient as anything either species had built before. Donghyun's perfect memory combined with human computer systems to create databases of unprecedented accuracy. But the most important development was happening in the schools. Taeho had started teaching mixed classes of human and dragon children who came to visit the base. He would explain human engineering principles while Nari shared dragon wisdom about energy and biology. The children learned both languages, both ways of thinking. This is how it should have always been, one young human student said during a lesson about biotechnology. Yes, agreed a young dragon. We learn more together than apart. The news of Lunar Base 7's success spread across the galaxy. Other refugee dragons began arriving, seeking sanctuary and a chance to learn human ways. Human volunteers came to help expand the base and develop new cooperative technologies. Not everyone was happy with these changes. Commander Park Min-ho and Kazak the Purifier continued to attack cooperation settlements across the galaxy. But each time they struck, more moderate voices on both sides spoke out against them. They represent the past, Admiral Lee said during a ceremony 6 months after the battle. This base represents the future. He was standing before a new monument that had been built outside Lunar Base 7. It showed a human and a dragon working together to build something beautiful, a symbol of what could be accomplished through cooperation. Taeho looked around at the ceremony. Hundreds of humans and dragons filled the space around the monument. Children of both species played together in the low gravity. Scientists shared research data. Engineers collaborated on new projects. Are you happy with what you've built here? Nari asked him. Taeho smiled. I spent 8 years running away from people. Now I can't imagine being alone again. You will never be alone again, she promised. Dragons do not forget their friends. As the ceremony continued, Taeho thought about his wife and daughter. They had died in a war started by fear and misunderstanding, but their memory now lived on in a place where such wars could never happen again. Humans and dragons who grew up together would never see each other as enemies. So Young ran up to him, excitement lighting up her scales. Taeho, the new power core is working perfectly. We're ready to start construction on the second base. Second base? We're getting so many requests for cooperation settlements, Hyunwoo explained. People want to live like we do here. Humans and dragons together. Elder Sun He approached the group. The Dragon Council has approved construction of 50 joint settlements. The Human Assembly has agreed to provide resources and support. What started here will soon spread across the galaxy. That evening, after all the ceremonies and speeches were over, Taeho sat in his quarters looking out at the Earth. But he was not alone. 10 dragons were scattered around the room, some working on projects, others just relaxing after the long day. "Do you ever miss the old days?" Minji asked. "When it was just us?" Taeho considered the question. The base was crowded now, full of noise and activity. His quiet life of solitude was gone forever. "No," he said finally. "I thought I wanted to be alone, but I was just afraid of being hurt again. You taught me that family isn't about blood or species. It's about people who care for each other," Nari smiled. "You taught us that humans and dragons are not so different. We both want the same things: safety, friendship, a place to belong." Outside their windows, construction lights illuminated new buildings rising from the lunar surface. The first Human-Dragon Academy was taking shape, where children of both species would learn together. Research labs were being built where scientists could explore the possibilities of biotechnology. Living quarters were expanding to accommodate the growing population of both humans and dragons who wanted to be part of this new world. Luna Base 7 was no longer just a mining station or even just a fortress. It had become the capital of a new kind of civilization, one where differences were celebrated, not feared, and where cooperation created possibilities that neither species could imagine alone. And at the center of it all was Kim Tae-ho, the hermit who had learned that sometimes the best way to heal from loss is to help others find what they're looking for. He had given 10 lost dragons a home, and they had given him a family. Together, they had shown the galaxy that the future belonged. Not to pure humans or pure dragons, but to something entirely new, something better.